What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 192 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Solozo. And today, this is always our favorite, Chris. We love launching products. I mean, that brings us back to the beginning. We do it all the time anyway, but it's really fun. That's a really fun part of the process, launching new products. And we're going to be talking about a really strategic method today. This is going to be a lot of fun. The 3x2 method for simple, fast, private label product launching on Amazon. And joining us to talk all about her methodology for launching products is Ashley Kinkead, the founder of Private Label Mastery. What's up, Ashley?
Hey guys, thank you so much. I am excited and honored to get to be on the podcast and sharing my stories. This is super cool. I'm just so pumped to be here.
Well, we are very excited to have you on. We love learning new strategies and methods for finding the right products. You know, it can be tricky. You can get some winners and some losers. So it sounds like your strategy does a lot to mitigate the risk a little bit on that product launch. So we're excited. We're excited to really dive all into it. Before we do, though, people that don't know you, they're listening, they're hearing you for the first time. You want to give us a little background on how you got into this? When did you start selling on Amazon, and what made you jump to this where you're helping others launch their products? It's fun. It's got to be fun helping others, but we want to hear your story. So you got the floor for a little while. Give us your background.
Yes, well, thank you so much for the introduction, Dustin and Chris. Much appreciated, not needed, but so much appreciated. Like a lot of your listeners, I'm just an everyday person who started selling on Amazon FBA as a way to make extra money. This was back in 2015 when Amazon FBA was still very new and people were still learning what private labeling was. I got started actually selling used books on Amazon. That was my way that I got started. Really cool. I couldn't believe it that I could find a book at a Salvation Army or a Goodwill that was 50 cents and putting it on Amazon, selling it for $100 or $200. I think my best-selling book was over $500 that I once bought at a Goodwill. So just seeing the ROIs and the margin potential of just simple reselling. I started as a bookseller, just selling one-off items out of my little apartment in Dallas, Texas. Actually grew a very large book selling business, did over $1 million in revenue just from selling used books. I had a big team here in Dallas, assistants, packers, and shippers, just going all over to book sales and library sales, trying to find those products to sell on Amazon. So I live in Dallas, which is like retail arbitrage paradise, like so many stores, so many places to find stuff on Amazon. So did that for a couple of years, quit my full-time job and just went full-time book selling. Over the years, the market for book selling got pretty tight. Lots of people coming in and lots of margins kind of getting smaller and smaller. So I switched my business model over to retail arbitrage and wholesale, taking a lot of product ideas, going to places like Marshall's, TJ Maxx, like scanning the barcodes and looking for those deals. And really just kind of found my niche. I actually became a shoe seller on Amazon, going to places like Nike and outlet stores and shoe stores and buying shoes for $40 or $50 and selling them on Amazon for $100 or $150 price point. So I love the margin selling shoes. But then again, over the years, it just got tough. You know, I'm just a girl here in Dallas, Texas, driving around, buying all these shoes, and it got exhausting with my team. And also Amazon started gating brands more and more, making it more difficult to get into brands like Nike that were kind of my bread and butter for my business. So then I moved into private labeling. My first private label product was actually a set of bath soaps that I manufactured from a seller I met on Etsy. We formed a private label partnership, and I actually formed a couple of brands on Amazon private label. So I went from 15,000 books that I sold on Amazon to just a couple of private label products. So I've been doing that for now 7 years. Now I'm 100% private label. And it's really been a journey, just learning how all the different ways you can make money on Amazon. There's not really a right way or a wrong way. I talk to people every day who are still really successful with selling books, really successful with arbitrage. But for me, I've just kind of found my niche with private labeling. And I think what is really cool about your guys' software is you guys help people to, refine that process and take some of the guesswork out, because most people don't know what is a good product to sell on Amazon. It's not easy to just guess what it is. You need to have data and reasoning behind your products that you launch, especially in 2022. It's just a really competitive marketplace. So private label has really allowed me to grow and have a lot more free time to be able to help other people sell on Amazon. But I've just really enjoyed the journey. It's been fun. Had lots of ups and downs with Amazon over the years. Good times and bad times, but overall, it's definitely a privilege just to get to use the Amazon platform. At the end of the day, it's an amazing platform to sell on. So it's been an awesome journey. It's been an awesome journey of entrepreneurship. I've learned a lot, had a lot of good days and bad days, and good months and bad months, but I've definitely enjoyed, just learning how to do this over the years and being a part of the e-commerce world. So private label is kind of my focus these days. Now I've got 14 private label SKUs on Amazon, mostly in the arts and crafts niche, and also in the beauty category as well. So that's kind of where I found my home with my PL products. A couple of them are manufactured here in the States, and then a couple of them are manufactured overseas. So that's a little bit about my story, and I hope it inspires someone out there just to kind of get their feet wet and learn a little bit about the private label world. It's a lot to learn. So
there's a lot to unpack there, and I want to go back to the book selling. How did you come across? Did all of a sudden you say, "I'm going to go sell books"? Like, what put that in your mind to go scan books? How'd you figure that out?
Well, I actually joined a Facebook group many years ago, and it kind of was the entryway into selling on Amazon. People were saying this is a good way to start without a lot of capital. You can just go out and spend 50 cents or $1, $10, and just quickly kind of get your feet wet with selling on Amazon. And even today, selling books is a great way for someone to get started who maybe doesn't have the capital or the cash flow to launch a private label. So I just joined a Facebook group, and everyone was selling books. I saw some really successful people doing it. And I just had my Amazon seller app and went out one day and was like, wow, I can spend an hour and make $1,000. This is a pretty good gig. So if you live in a city where you can get access to those kinds of products in larger quantities, it's a good little business model to make for yourself. So
how'd you scale that team? You mentioned you made a team and you had like people packing and shipping. Like, how'd you find those type of people, and how'd you get them to join the team and build this big empire?
Well, it's really interesting. I got really lucky. I found a couple local people actually on Craigslist. This was back in the day before I knew how to really legitimately place hiring ads and things like that. Went on Craigslist and just found a local mom who had a garage and a living room, and we had a routine down. I would go out and source and scan the books. Originally, it was just me, and I would just fill up my car and bring them back to her, and she would pack and ship them all up and have, 10 or 15 boxes ready to go for UPS at the end of the week. We just had a routine down. I dropped them off. She would label them, ship them, pack them up. So, and then at one point I had someone helping me scan the books, coming out and actually scanning with me at library sales. They're very competitive, and there's a lot of, takes a lot of time. So at one point I had someone actually helping me scan and source them. And we would just basically use our house as a clearinghouse to get the books out to Amazon. So, it can be as simple as bringing on a friend, finding someone who's interested in the business. I paid her, I believe, per book. So if, she put out 100 books, she made this much money based on the amount of books that she would process. So yeah, that's how I built my initial local team for the book sourcing.
I'm assuming you did the same way with the shoes. You just different product, just the same process.
Essentially, yes. Yeah. And at one point I was able to figure out, wow, instead of just going to Nike, I can go to Nike.com and find the same kinds of inventory. And I used a prep company at that point. So they were able to receive the products, package and label them, and ship them into Amazon for me. So, it's kind of like a solopreneur business, but also you can bring on team members if you want to. I've always had a couple of virtual assistants helping me out manage things. That's really a part of it too, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you jumped into private label with the soap. I love how you went to Etsy and found something that's already being made, and you just kind of teamed up with that person there. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So I was a little intimidated when I first launched my first private label of how am I going to find a supplier? How can I talk to these overseas suppliers that don't speak my language, that don't, there's a language barrier, a culture barrier? Am I going to get a good deal? All of these things I was really worried about. Launching a private label, I knew it was going to be more risky then doing arbitrage and sourcing books. So I kind of wanted to get my feet wet with private label. And so what I did is I just went to Etsy. I had been sourcing these bath soaps for a long time from stores like Marshall's and TJ Maxx. I realized the profitability, the margins could be really, really high. So I went to Etsy and I just contacted like a wholesale manufacturer who was listed on Etsy, lived here in the States, and we formed a private label contract for this company to manufacture my products to sell on Amazon, this business. And it worked really well. But it was definitely not typical, not the typical way people come up with a private label product, their own product. But it allowed me to just get a few initial units on Amazon to test them, to see how well those products sold. So I think I started with an initial order of maybe 10 units for my first private label product to Amazon. And then as it started to sell and I started to collect the data on how many units and how much I was able to sell and my profit margins, I started placing larger orders, 100 units to FBA, 1,000 units into FBA. At one point, I was bringing in 10,000 unit orders into Amazon FBA and just able to scale from there. So I think just really starting small was a benefit for me. And something I always tell people, my 3x2 method is just to start small and to test in small quantities, because as you guys know, like data is our friend, and having tools that allow us to measure our success is really important. So
I love your story. It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, not just how much that resonates with sort of the journey that Chris and I have taken in our businesses. How many people we talk to that are now successful private label sellers that have done similar things. It's like you start flipping, you start with retail arbitrage, you start with whatever it is. It gives you such an understanding of how Amazon works at a low entry level cost. And there's nothing more exciting than shipping in a book and seeing it sell and you've doubled your money or tripled your money. I mean, there's a lot of fun with that. That is, if I was going to teach somebody how to start, I would say, go find something that you can flip on Amazon. That'll teach you, 80% of the process of private label. Obviously, you got to learn how, there's a jump when you're creating listings and doing design work and packaging and all of that. But you have such a good understanding already of how it works, what's like shipping in products, what it's like labeling products. And then when you get to that private label, you're like, oh, if only I have to do this for one product and I can order thousands of units, I've just scaled immensely. It's fascinating. It is incredible. You said, I hope it inspires people. That should inspire people. If your whole journey started with one book that you flipped for the first time, and now you're in a position where you're not only running a big private label, but you're helping other brands. That's amazing. I got to go at the transition. So at some point you decided, I have this knowledge. I have this. I can be a resource for other people. When did you start PL Mastery, and when did you start? Maybe you could touch on like what you do to help people before we jump into your methodology. Sure. What is it like when you work with clients?
So as I had success with private labeling, lots of folks were obviously, this was kind of in the early days when people were just starting to private label on Amazon. Today, a lot of people private label, but I had people reaching out to me individually, wanting support, wanting to know how can I launch a private label product? And lots of folks followed my journey on social media and things like that. So I just had folks reaching out to me. I actually just started a free course just to help people many years ago, had hundreds of sellers go through it. And then over the years, just evolved into more intensive support and coaching and consulting and services for private label sellers, because there can be a really long learning curve for launching a private label product. I've seen people take years to think about it, to research their first product, and to get it started. So I started evolving into other businesses, coaching, consulting. We do consult Amazon sellers at Private Label Mastery and help them using our 3x2 method to launch their private label product. But it's been an amazing journey, and ultimately just able to, not reinvent the wheel, but to transfer things that you already know, systems and processes you've already put in place. And that's one of the really cool things about selling on Amazon is you don't really have to reinvent the wheel. You can basically just do what other people do. You can learn from other people and use Amazon systems and support to grow a huge business, even if you're just a normal person like me. I don't have a lot of business background or business training, but using Amazon, I'm able to do things I never could do on my own website. So it's been an awesome journey, but still learning continuously. And I still have a lot of things I would love to do in my business, like be on Walmart and get on other websites, because Amazon is really just the cusp. You start to see Amazon's just one piece of e-commerce. There's so many other ways to sell your products online. So
with all the mentorship and coaching you do, what are some of the common struggles you see sellers dealing with, especially now?
Well, it's definitely a bit harder to launch a private label product in 2022 than it was, say, in 2015 or 2016. It is not as easy as just throwing a private label product on Amazon and it starts to sell. No, there's a lot of competition. So I think you have to have some kind of unique, innovative differentiator to your product, something that makes you a little unique if you want to have longevity in the marketplace. So it can be as simple as, making the product better than what's already on Amazon. I don't know about you guys, but I shop on Amazon all the time, like crazy. And I get products. I'm like, wow, this product, and I look at it, it's making 50, 100K a month, but it's mediocre. Or the way they package it is just crazy, or it doesn't work. It doesn't do what it says it's supposed to do. For me as an entrepreneur, I'm thinking, wow, I could just do that and make the product better. So I think sellers need to think about how they can add value, not only to Amazon, but to their suppliers. How can you make your supplier's job easier? How can you be a good Amazon seller for them? Unique partnerships with other sellers. There's just a lot of different ways to just kind of think outside the box. And as always, I just recommend mitigating your risk. Again, not starting with a huge initial launch of any product. You don't need to, I'll talk about my method, but you don't need to launch 1,000 units of a product on Amazon just to start. So I see sellers just going too deep on a product launch and losing all their money. I see sellers just not doing their research with softwares like you guys have, or any kind of software. You have to make decisions based on data and really think about making sure that you're making a good decision with your product launch too.
I know Dustin's launched products with multiple inventory, and me too, and we've lost our shirts on those. Talk about this. Let's talk about this method here, 3x2. I like where I think it's headed, and I kind of have an idea. You kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier before we started this. Talk about what this method does and what it is, and like how people can do it.
Sure. So it's just a really simple concept of how I launch my own products on Amazon these days, and how we've taught other people how to do it as well. Essentially, it means going a little bit wider and not deep on one SKU, launching 3 products at once, testing them for 30 days with about 100 units initial test order, and then moving forward with your winners out of those 3 products. Typically what we've seen, we've launched thousands of products now, is that not every product is a winner, and we can't really know until we put it on the Amazon marketplace. So we like to give ourselves a little runway, 30 to 60 days, to see how a product does over time. And we want to see a product selling at least 5 units a day consistently over a course of time to consider to restock it. And the best way we just get traction is by having multiple products. We like to, again, launch 3, move forward with 2 winners, sometimes all 3, but usually 2 out of 3, test them for 30 days on Amazon without going out of stock. And then at the end of that 30-day test period, moving forward with 2 out of those 3. We feel that if we do the right product research up front, we can help us mitigate that risk to know that our product's going to sell. But essentially, it just, so many people, I think they can just have a gold rush product or one product that's going to make 6 figures. And sometimes that's the case, but a lot of times you're going to need more than one product to be successful on Amazon. So it helps you just to put not all your eggs in one basket, and to also test your product out.
So let's go through it. I've done my product research. I found 3 products that I want to source. What's the next step I take?
The next step would be ordering samples. I really recommend ordering samples before you launch your initial product. So get your samples. And then what you're going to do is start with an initial test order. So with your supplier, we try to find suppliers that will let us start with really small minimum order quantities. So you could do Etsy, like I taught you guys earlier, or you could go to AliExpress. However, you can find a supplier with a small initial MOQ. Starting with 100 units. sending 100 units of each product into Amazon FBA after you've got your samples, and then letting them sit there for 30 days at Amazon FBA to see the daily sales velocity. And then at the end of the 30-day period, when you've collected enough data on your sales, then deciding to move forward and restock 2 or 3 of those products. So essentially, so many people I see think, oh my gosh, my product's only selling a couple units a day. We're really looking for that daily consistency over a 30-day period. So it's just a great way to think about a successful product and to give yourself some time to see it get some traction with the A9 algorithm and to actually get some sales, build up that velocity, which is going to increase your BSR and help you get more views on Amazon.
On the listing side of it, I got 300 units, 100 of each. Am I creating like a really, really well optimized listing with really good photos and titles and bullets, or is this just a skeleton listing? I'm just trying to gather data and I'm not running any PPC. I'm just letting things sell. What's the play there?
We typically will definitely need an optimized listing with really good keywords, really good photos and images. We typically don't put PPC on our listings for at least a couple of weeks after a launch. We want to see how it's going to sell organically. It really just depends on how competitive the marketplace is. If we put it on Amazon, it's not getting a lot of clicks, it's not getting a lot of sales, then we'll make some decisions after that initial test period. But yeah, we definitely need really good listings, really good photos. To get sales. We've sometimes launched products on Amazon that have like the worst pictures, the worst keywords. We're like, I can't believe that someone's buying this. Like, this is crazy. But sometimes it's just the right product and people are looking for it and it works. But
when you reorder so you got 2 that are good. When you reorder those 2, are you starting with a fresh ASIN on the same listing, or is it a completely different listing?
We're staying on the same ASIN.
Okay, got it.
And then during that process, once you make the reorder, is that when are you doing like more packaging design, more et cetera on this next order?
Yeah, we typically start with a pretty simple product design, nothing too fancy. My first private label product was in a Uline box. I mean, no label on it, just a blank generic box with my product inside of it, simple photos. Put it on Amazon, didn't invest too much money in the design and packaging. These days, I'm a bit more seasoned and experienced. I don't mind going a little bit more deep in the initial, because I know I'm going to make my product successful. But for the first initial order, we typically just do kind of a blank, simple box, blank packaging, and then we go from there. So
when you do when you're talking with suppliers, 100 units, you're not going to get the best pricing. Like, they're not going to give you best pricing. So when negotiating pricing, is that topic brought up? Like, look, we're going to test out this product first with only 100 units. If this thing takes off, we have potential to order thousands of units to try to get that price down. Or is that just a conversation you have at a later time when you start to order more?
We definitely have the conversation pretty upfront. We just try to find suppliers who will do that initial minimum order quantity with the hope and kind of the handshake that if our orders do well, we will work with you on a continuous basis. But that's definitely a challenge just for the audience to know, like, finding a supplier who will do that small of a quantity of units. A lot of them do have an MOQ of 5,000 or 500 units. So you have to be a little creative sometimes, and sometimes pay a higher initial price, but it's worth it to not go too deep and spend $5,000 on your first inventory launch, just to be able to get yourself a little more diversified over a couple different products.
Let's say I got the 2 products that are taken off. So we're further down the pipeline now. So I got 2 products. I've restocked them. What's the relaunch process look like? I've already got the data from the first 30 days or 60 days process. How do I keep that momentum going for the next batch of orders?
It's one thing we've learned, just kind of a golden tip for your audience, is don't go out of stock. Like, do not go out of stock on Amazon. If there's any way you can just, we've found it's really difficult Amazon's algorithm is really not liking going out of stocks in 2022. So we do whatever we can it's okay to go out of stock in the beginning. It happens, but the next step is just quickly just placing that next initial order. So the next step is to talk to your supplier, get your agreement in place. We typically will go from 100 units out to maybe 500 units for that second initial order. It really just depends on how much sold on that initial launch and how much cash flow we have, how much funds you have on hand to be able to do that. But again, it's just kind of a slow and steady growth process of going from that initial order to trying to not to go out of stock to quickly placing that second initial order and going from there.
What's your PPC product launch strategy now? So those units are checked in. How do I get the ball moving? What do I need to do to generate more and more sales?
PPC is really important. It's really important. 35 to 40% of our sales on Amazon come from pay-per-click. So we have found it's just an important aspect of it. So definitely keeping everything really tight as far as managing our pay-per-click campaign. We use the pay-per-click software as well. And just making sure that we're starting small, testing again. Some of our budgets start with as little as $10 a day on a campaign, and then we grow and scale from there. So PPC is definitely key, especially if you're in a really competitive market. Sometimes they'll launch a product and see it, not needing too much pay-per-click juice, but generally it does. But we'll start with a really small campaign. We'll do an automatic and a manual campaign. We'll launch them for about $10 a day, and then we'll grow from there. But we do very large PPC campaigns on Amazon. And we've just found in 2022, they're really important. They're really important to get your product to page one.
Are you only using PPC, or are there like external traffic you're bringing to the listing, or is it just strictly PPC at this stage?
Pretty much PPC. Some of our students will do, traffic from social media, traffic from Instagram, traffic from emails. If you've got those tools, definitely do them. Amazon loves external traffic. Their algorithm just really favors it. But historically, no, we do very little outside traffic. Very little outside traffic on our products. We just rely on Amazon search engine and let it fly. So
I like it. I mean, it is
basic.
It's a simplistic process. I know probably the trap a lot of people fall into when they're launching is they want to learn. So the stumbling block is they don't get started. They consume all this content, and there's like 9,000 strategies they're trying to employ it right off the bat, and it's overwhelming, and a lot of it might work, might not work. But just nailing 3 products, getting a small order, launching them with a effective but simple PPC strategy, just like you're talking about, like running an auto and then having a manual campaign for your best converting keywords, I'm assuming, and ASINs, and
yes,
just managing it and then just growing with it. I think I like that approach a lot. I mean, it keeps it simple. It keeps you focused on the things that work, the main aspects that you need to be doing. Can we go way back to the beginning of the process? Because we skipped over the product research part. And I feel like if you don't nail that, or you don't really spend a lot of time on product research, you could end up with a product or in a niche that you just don't have the expectation of what it's going to take to launch in those. What metrics are you looking for to say, okay, this is a good product to go after?
Well, I like to track a product for 7 days. I like to see at least 7 days of consistent sales velocity. I also I don't mind going pretty low in pretty low in BSR. So for me, I don't mind going as low as like 1,000 bestsellers rank tracked over a 7-day period. So roughly, if I'm looking at bestsellers rank, between 1,000 and 10,000 BSR is kind of a good range for me to play in for a product that I like to launch. Also, I like higher average selling price products. Anthony, my business partner, has almost a $50 average selling price. Me, I'm about $27 on Amazon. So I like to focus on kind of a little bit over $25 price point products. on Amazon, as well as just kind of looking for those things other sellers aren't willing to sell or aren't even looking at. Maybe not the coolest products, the most interesting products, but just the simple products that make good sense to sell on Amazon. Lower fees, lightweight products. I like smaller products that can roughly be 2 pounds or less, just for lower inbound shipping fees from our suppliers. But there's so many different ways to look at product research. I think the most important thing is just ultimately making sure there's enough demand. There's enough people searching for this product on Amazon. There's enough search velocity for this keyword. And over time, after you've launched as many products as I have, you just kind of have an eye for a product that's going to do well on Amazon. I can look at it and think, oh, it's going to be a great product to launch. So I think just using this data as best as you can. Having a good product research tool is really important, whether it's your guys' tool or there's some really good software tools out there that are excellent for Amazon sellers, but you just don't want to guess. You want to actually use a tool, make a decision, and make sure you track the product for at least 7 days, that it's selling consistently every single day over at least a 7-day period before you would decide to launch that product.
Are there products or categories that you stay away from, that you don't even look at, or are you open to anything? I mean, if it's something that's ultra competitive or something of that nature, is there areas you avoid?
I tend to like to stay in categories that other sellers don't really look at, like business, industrial, and scientific. Nobody really looks in that category. I do a lot in arts, craft, and sewing, like really niche products that help people in their arts, crafts, and sewing hobbies. That's just something I've always kind of found my passion in over the years. No, there isn't a specific category I would totally avoid. There's just certain categories that I really like, but there's just so many opportunities in every single category. I think it's just kind of finding your niche and niching down, finding those sub categories, and then expanding and finding a brand that you can sell of complementary products that are interrelated, like accessories, products that go together, that can bundle together, that can multi-pack together. That's really where you're going to kind of find your space. Is where you can find those opportunities for products that are related to one another. And that's how you build a brand. My soap brand, all the products go together, the colors, the listings, people buy them in packs and multi-packs and sets. So that's how you really can just increase your longevity, is having those related products in a category.
That was sort of answers the next question I was going to have. When you're selecting these 3 products, are they related? Are they something that you can build a brand around? I mean, or are you doing like a dog leash and something for your house and some office supply?
Good question. No, they're not. They're typically not related. Sometimes they will be, but yes, at this point in my business, most of my products are related in my arts and crafts niche. But for someone out there, newbie starting, no, they don't have to all be related. I think that's the long-term goal for your brand. For my brand, is we want our products to be a family. For example, a barbecue set that all goes together. All the pieces can be bought and purchased one another. But no, for the 3x2 method, no, you can have 3 different products in completely different categories. Then once you find your winner, think about how you can scale and expand that product, and how you can build a family of products where you have customers purchasing products that go together and accessories. So
I like it.
Thanks. Yeah, I like it too, because it's simple for people to start. So many people I hear from are really, even today, really scared of private labeling. And it's not something to be scared of. It's just something to test the waters and to dive in and just to do it, take action.
When you're consulting with your clients, what are you setting as like a budget expectation? So, I mean, if I'm coming to you and I'm like, okay, I want to launch 3 products, how much do I need? What do I need to have in the bankroll ready to launch and scale these?
That is such a great question. And to be honest, it does take a bit more bankroll today to launch a private label product. On the low end, at least $1,000 would be advisable to like test a product and get the samples and get it up and pay the Amazon fees and those kinds of things. I like to have more like 3 to 5K for like a really solid launch where I can get enough units and really just play around a bit and get a product up. So it depends. It's helpful to have a bit more capital for sure. That's where book selling is a great way to get started, to help you build that initial bankroll if you need it. But yeah, for us, we typically advise like about 3 to 5K. If you have more, it helps us to get you into a more competitive market space. But 3 to 5K is a good baseline.
That should be exciting for everyone listening. I mean, you hear a lot, oh, you know, you need 20, 40, 50K to launch. That's not the case if you take a systematic approach to it. You can find there are millions and millions and millions of product opportunities to sell. And you can find them, and you can, you know, that's how you, if you started off, like you said, doing some arbitrage or doing some of that, you can quickly round up $3,000 to $5,000 that you can now put towards a private label brand for sure.
Yes. When I started my private label brand, I went out and got a credit card. You know, whatever I had to do to fund that initial investment, it's what I had to do. I didn't have an investor. I didn't have you know, lots of funds to get after this. So sometimes got to get creative, you know, or just hustle a little bit to get that initial seed money. Everyone's story as an entrepreneur is different. So
go sell some books, right?
yeah,
Go sell some books, get a credit card. You're preaching to the choir here on that. Well, we are not shy about using our credit card, that's for sure, to launch things.
Get those points.
Yeah, get points. Exactly. There's a lot of ancillary benefits once you get started with this. I mean, the amount of points you can rack up on credit cards with your orders and all this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that can spin off of this. All right, so let's talk about PL Mastery. That's the website, plmastery.com, that anyone can go to check you out. How do people reach out to you? How do they contact you? What's an ideal client that you like to work with? How's that?
Well, thanks, guys. I'm really just here to share my story of private label and how it's changed my life. If anyone would love to learn a little bit more about us, you can definitely head to our website. You can follow me on Instagram. You can shoot me an email from our website. We like to look for people who can be successful with private label, which is not everybody. People who are committed, understand this is like a 3 to 6 month process to fully get your business up and going. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, so many people think Amazon is passive, or they think that it's something that can happen overnight. It takes some time. So people who are entrepreneurial minded, who are willing to take some risks, who want to build a significant business on Amazon, you know, 6, 7, 8 figures. Those are the kinds of people that typically do well with our systems and our methodologies. So definitely love to head to our website, and we'd love to get connected with you. We also have a Facebook group. It's called Amazon FBA Breakthrough. We have thousands of folks over there who are private label sellers and who sell on Amazon, who would love to connect with you and show you the ways to steps and means to get to do this too. So yeah, be great.
That's awesome. I'm on your website right now.
Thanks.
I see this book your breakthrough session now.
Yes.
So
yes.
Explain the breakthrough session.
Yeah, get a breakthrough session. You've got a master class. You've got lots of resources, Amazon seller resources over on our website as well. If you guys want to just learn a little bit about selling on Amazon, there's lots of different ways that you can get connected with us and just take these next steps. So for sure.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everyone to do that. Well, if you're interested, you're an entrepreneur, you got that mindset, you want to kick off a new brand and new launch on Amazon, go book that breakthrough session and do it the right way. You want guidance. It's there's a lot, and yes, it's very different than when we started. We started roughly the same time, 2015. It was maybe a little less hoops you had to jump through, less competition. You could really just kind of throw products at the wall. It's a little bit more systematic now. So if anyone's starting, I encourage, make sure you're working with somebody, a mentor or somebody that can help you just avoid those roadblocks so that you get the success right away. So plmastery.com, go there and book your breakthrough session. Ashley, we got to get you back on. Maybe we can, I love simple methodology, like 3x2 product launch. I'm sure you've got methodology on all the other aspects like building listings and running PPC. We'd love to get you back on, maybe talk about some of those more things in depth as well.
Sure, I'd love to. I'd love to go into more advanced topics. This is just kind of an introductory. People out there who want to get started with private labeling are a little afraid to jump in the waters. I just hope I encourage you that anyone can do this with the right system and ultimately just you got to dive in at some point. So yeah, Dustin, I'd love to come back. Thank you guys so much for having me. Hopefully inspired your listeners today to get on Amazon and get your first product launched. So
absolutely, we will definitely get you back on. And yeah, I mean, even though we sell every day, it is inspiring to hear other people's stories, hear their systems. So we really appreciate it. A lot of value in that. I mean, you laid out your roadmap. So, I mean, people can follow what you said and be up and running really soon. So we really appreciate it, Ashley. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. If you like content like this, make sure you're subscribing to our podcast. We're on all the podcast platforms out there, so you can find us, Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone. Subscribe to it. You can also see these live streams. So every podcast we do, we live stream them. You can find that on Sellozo's social media platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Go there. Make sure you are following us on those as well, so you get notified when we're live with awesome people like Ashley. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. If additionally, also I should mention, can't forget to mention Sellozo. If you are selling right now on Amazon and you're looking for tools to help you manage your business, help you manage your PPC, help you automate or optimize your advertising, we can do that for you at Sellozo. So make sure you go to sellozo.com. You can book a demo. You'll get to talk with either Chris or myself. We can show you the power of Sellozo's platform and how it can help take you to the next level on selling on Amazon. So again, at sellozo.com, book a demo, and we'll be chatting soon. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time. Have a great day.